Got another interesting one today. For $5, what if Gojo was rewritten as an X-Men character? Thank you, GreyGhost232, for the request. Now, if Gojo were rewritten as an X-Men character, obviously we've got to turn his ability into a mutant ability. And I'd say a good baseline for what his power could be classified as is spatial manipulation. Infinity, red, blue, purple. And even if we give him his other abilities, it's not going to be that too out of line for X-Men because although people have a mutant ability, they tend to also have other abilities attached to it usually. So even if he's classified as just having spatial manipulation, that doesn't mean that's the only thing he'll have. And in terms of his role, I think he would be one of the people that helps train mutants to regulate their powers, specifically the mutants that have a hard time controlling their mutant abilities. Because the thing about Gojo is he's consistently regulating and controlling the amount of output that he is having for his powers. For those that don't know, he's constantly having to use reverse curse technique on his own brain because of him constantly keeping infinity up. So, day in, day out, 24/7 basically, this man is consistently using his main power. Plus, due to how infinity is basically going to be a fourth dimensional barrier that anyone that can't mess with space would be able to get through, he'd be a perfect person to train against. Because unless the person he's training has attacks that can bypass a spatial barrier, they would never have to worry about hurting Gojo as they were training. There would never be any freak accidents. Plus, when you factor in how skilled of a fighter Gojo is, he's going to also be able to teach these mutants how to properly defend themselves, even if they were told not to use their mutant abilities unless they had to. I have a question for you guys, though. Out of all the popular X-Men, who do you think Gojo would most get along with? Because in this hypothetical, since he's going to be a mutant, he's going to be hanging around all the other mutants a lot of the time. So, along those lines, he's more than likely going to build some sort of friendship with a bunch of different characters. One thing that's going to be really interesting, though, is if he ever got confronted by a Sentinel. Do you think the Sentinels would be capable of creating and adapting attacks that could bypass infinity? If they can, he's going to be in trouble, but I don't think it's going to be easy, even if they could adapt to it. I think at the absolute best case scenario for the Sentinels, it's going to be a Maharaga situation, where it takes more than one try to fully adapt to it. But likely by the time they get a chance to fully adapt, the Sentinel's already going to have to be dealing with Gojo himself and whoever happens to be his ally on the battlefield dealing with this Sentinel.